ASA WINSTANLEY is an award. Well, you're award winning, and I think the Electronic Intifada is award winning. He's writing for. So he hasn't won anyone. It's just he'll be there soon. Only a question of time. But ASA has written very well about this whole witch hunt. He's exposed, for example, that the Jewish labor movement was refounded in 2015 with the explicit purpose of bringing down Jeremy Corbyn. Surprise, surprise. So we're very pleased to have him here. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be with you all. As Tina said, I'm ASA WINSTANLEY. I'm a reporter for the Electronic Intifada, which is the leading Palestine news site in the English language. So for the last 4 years, more than 4 years now, I've been reporting on the issue of the Labour Party and allegations of anti-Semitism. And Ken Livingstone actually put his finger on a very valid and important date, which was February 2016, when this whole campaign really kicked into high gear with Oxford University Labour Club. But it started before then, really. Anyone who's been involved in the Palestine Solidarity movement knows that the State of Israel and its lobby in this country and in America and so forth, they use a specific strategy, which is false allegations of anti-Semitism in order to smear and defame their enemies. It's a long-running campaign. They've always done it, and that's what's been deployed in the Labour Party over the last 4 years. What we've seen is a witch hunt that's targeted the Labour left, Jeremy Corbyn in particular, and the Palestine Solidarity campaign. And it's now spread beyond the Labour Party. What happens in the Labour Party doesn't stay in the Labour Party. So we see, for example, on the issue of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, what I consider to be a bogus definition of anti-Semitism. The whole debacle last summer, where the definition was adopted by the Labour Party, has meant that it's given it this definition wider legitimacy in society as a whole, and we've seen that have really bad effects on the Palestine Solidarity movement. So earlier this year there was an event called the Big Ride for Palestine, and it was the most benign and fluffy form of Palestine solidarity you can imagine. It was a sponsored bike ride to raise money for Palestinian children for their mental health, to treat mental health problems because of being affected by trauma in the war. They applied for permission through Tower Hamlets Council to use one of their parks as the rallying point for this sponsored bike ride. And Tower Hamlets, because they'd adopted the IHRA definition, working definition of anti-Semitism, they said they actually banned the Big Ride from Palestine from using any, not just the part they'd applied for, but any of their public spaces. And what was the reason? Well, they didn't give a reason up front, but freedom of information requests that the Palestine Solidarity Campaign put in revealed that the reason was the IHRA definition. They said under the IHRA definition, this event could be considered to be anti-Semitic. So unfortunately, what the Labour Party did last year in adopting this bogus definition of anti-Semitism, which what the Labour Party did, gave it legitimacy and makes things like this more and more likely to happen. The problem with that definition is that it brings in Israel, and it effectively tries to outlaw criticisms of Israel and of Zionism, the ideology of the Israeli state. And it means that it kind of tries to muddy the water between criticism of those things, political criticisms of those things, and anti-Semitism. So it's a very dangerous thing, and the way the Labour Party adopted it really is a shame, and it, in my view, is something that should be overturned. I've been reporting, as I said, on this issue for the past 4 years. I've been to Labour Party conference for several of those years, and this reporting on Palestine events and events held by Israel lobby groups such as Labour Friends of Israel and the Jewish Labour Movement. But this year, my conference press pass was revoked, and I wasn't given a reason for that. I was given an approval. I was approved by the police checks and so forth. And the Labour Party press office a few weeks later then sent me a one-line email just saying, "Thank you for applying to cover the Labour Party conference. You have not been successful," which wasn't true, because they had given me the approval of the press pass so I could collect it. Unfortunately, I mean, I've still been able to report using the live feed and talking to comrades on the phone and sources on the phone and so forth. But it's definitely, you know, had a chilling effect. It's stymied my reporting and so forth. This issue, as I said, has spread to wider society, and we've seen that these maliciously false and fabricated allegations of anti-Semitism are used by Israel lobby groups and by the right in general to attack the left and to attack Palestine solidarity. And we saw an example of that again this week when Omar Barghouti, the co-founder of the BDS movement, was due to speak at a couple of fringes this week here in Brighton. The British government said they didn't deny him a visa, but they essentially held it up for so long that it made it impossible for him to attend, so he had to talk to those meetings via Skype. And then what's been put about in the press, in pro-Israel media, by pro-Israel groups and so forth, is that he's an anti-Semite and that he's kind of been defamed in this way. So the boycott movement is something that is constantly attacked with these false allegations. Free speech on Palestine is being revoked, and this is as important as an effect as it's had in the Labour Party and against the leadership and so forth. This is actually bigger than Jeremy Corbyn, and it's bigger than the Labour Party in general. It's about the issue of free speech. Can we criticise Israel? Can we criticise Zionism? Is this being allowed in public spaces? You know, we also saw this week the book Bad News for Labour, which I highly recommend, by the way. Their book launch in Brighton at Waterstone's bookshop was cancelled by the head office because they'd had complaints over the phone. You know, it would have been quite an easy thing for them to stand up for that. You know, it was just, but they don't want to do it. You know, because it's an issue that gives them bad publicity the way they see it. So what's been happening in the Labour Party, essentially, in my view, is an attempted coup to block the possibility of an anti-imperialist Labour Party. In my view, the real test of Labour's radicalism, as important as all the domestic policies are, is what will Labour's international policies be? Will it account for Britain's colonial past? You know, when we talk about a Labour government redressing the injustices of colonialism, we're not talking about some abstract thing. The Labour Party was not only complicit, but it was directly involved in the administration of the British Empire. In 1945, the Labour Party had policy which stated that the Palestinians should be transferred out of Palestine to make way for the Jews, as the document put it. So it was something that was really the British government and the Labour government at the time was actively involved in the ethnic cleansing of around 800,000 Palestinians from Palestine between 1947 and 1948, the Nakba. And just to conclude, the Labour Party has at the moment a denial problem. There is a problem with denial, and what's being denied by some sections of the left is that the State of Israel and its lobby groups uses false allegations of anti-Semitism as a weapon to attack the left and as a weapon to attack the Palestine Solidarity movement. Unless that's faced up to, it can't be combated, and it can't be, this issue will keep coming up time and time again. So we have to face up to that. Thanks for your listening.